Rubin is a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary,
Thanks
for being here. I want to start with you. What do you think about those two answers? Mr. Secretary.
I'm sorry, which one are you starting with?
Joel.
Oh, thanks. I apologize for the delay. I think, frankly, what we see is two candidates who have very different approaches to foreign policy. Look, with J.D. Vance, he's a senator. He has a voting record, and he voted against military aid to Israel. It's right there in black and white. He also is opposed to American support for Ukraine right now in its fight for survival against Russia. That's a bad track record for someone who wants to be the commander-in-chief. Right now, the commander-in-chief is defending Israel alongside the vice president in ensuring that Iran's missile attacks are thwarted and is providing military supply to Israel to continue to defend itself against terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah. So I don't think J.D. Vance really wanted to get into that discussion very much last night because his track record is not one of support for the state of Israel when it comes to providing military aid. And quite frankly, diplomacy and him seem to have an allergy when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. I think he'd rather just hand over Ukraine to Russia and walk away.
I wanted to have time for this because if you're wondering what Secretary of State Antony Blinken has to say about what is happening in terms of Iran and America, he wrote an op-ed titled America's Strategy of Renewal. And this one goes to General Inyart. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says, quote, the Biden administration strategy has put the United States in a much stronger geopolitical position today than it was 4 years ago. We demonstrated to Iran that there was a path back to a mutual return to compliance if Iran was willing to take it, while maintaining a robust sanctions regime and our commitment that Iran will never be permitted to obtain a nuclear weapon. General, what are your thoughts on this op-ed from the Secretary of State?
Well, I think, first of all, I'd like to say that I agree with Joel. I think he hit the nail on the head there. The only thing I would add to Joel's answer is that Senator Vance has a very thin track record because he's only been in the Senate for 2 years and he hasn't bothered to cast a vote since he has been running for vice president. So that's a pretty thin record. Now, as to Secretary Blinken's op-ed, I think it's pretty accurate. When the newly elected president of Iran appeared at the United Nations, he was actually extending an olive branch to the world, to the U.S. and to the world. He would like to get back into the good graces and see the sanctions lifted. Those sanctions have been crippling the Iranian economy. The Iranian population is restive. They are not happy with the leadership of the mullahs with Ali Khamenei. So I think that by steering a steady course, we are in a better position today than we were 4 years ago when the Trump administration was tacking back and forth and breaking from our allies. We fight wars with allies. We cannot police the world by ourselves. We need the help from our allies, just as the Brits and the French helped Israel in this latest attack by Iranian ballistic missiles.
The White House has been defending its stance on Iran. Here's what Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said just yesterday.
This administration has not lifted a single sanction on Iran. We cannot forget that. Rather, we continue to increase pressure. That's what we have seen. Our extensive sanctions on Iran remain in place, and we certainly will continue to enforce them.
Joel, in the time we have left, any truth to that?
Yeah, no, she's right. And it's a confounding dynamic that we find ourselves in. Governor Walz mentioned it last night that Donald Trump withdrew unilaterally from the Iran nuclear deal that has now enabled Iran to get closer to a nuclear weapon than ever in its history. And frankly, J.D. Vance responded by saying that we gave $100 billion to Iran, which is false, factually false. The sanctions are tough on Iran, but you do need to have, as the general points out, diplomacy and deals and allies to secure American national security interests. And that nuclear deal did secure the interest. Donald Trump ripped it up without an alternative. It has now allowed Iran a pathway to a nuclear weapon. And now we're in a precarious situation because if Israel strikes back, this escalation will continue. And the question then is, what if they are that close to a nuclear weapon? What could they do? That was not a question that we had when the nuclear deal was in place that Donald Trump recklessly withdrew from.
All right, Joel Rubin joining us, former Secretary and General Inyart. Thank you very much. We do appreciate your time. Let's bring in now former